Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Rear Admiral John Walker. I'm the commander of the 1st Coast Guard District here in Boston, Massachusetts. And in this case, I am the lead for the Coast Guard search and rescue operation for the Overdue Submersible out here the wreck of the Titanic. Yesterday afternoon, we were notified by the operator of the submersible vessel that it was overdue, and it had 5 persons on board the submersible. So we're working very closely at this point to make sure that we're doing everything that we can do to locate the submersible and rescue those on board. Our thoughts are with the crew members and the families of those on board the submersible at this time, and we are doing everything that we can do to make sure that we can locate and rescue those on board. So after receiving the call, we reached out to the vessel Polar Prince and began a surface search looking for the submersible. At the same time, we launched a C-130 aircraft to conduct an aerial search, both visual and radar, of the scene. We've subsequently coordinated with the Canadian Coast Guard and Canadian Armed Forces to deploy additional assets to the scene. The Canadians have had a C-130 aircraft searching as well, in addition to also having a P-8 submarine search aircraft deploy as well, and put sonar buoys in the water in attempt to listen. The location of the search is approximately 900 miles east of Cape Cod in a water depth of roughly 13,000 feet. It is a remote area and it is a challenge to conduct a search in that remote area, but we are deploying all available assets to make sure that we can locate the craft and rescue the people on board. Going into this evening, we will continue to fly aircraft and move additional vessels into the area. In this remote part of our search and rescue responsibility, oftentimes we rely on commercial operators to be the first vessels on scene. And so we've been in touch with additional commercial vessels that are operating in the area, as well as initiating the movement of additional Canadian Coast Guard assets and U.S. Coast Guard surface asset into the area over the course of the next couple of days. Adding to the complexity of this case is the fact that this was a submersible vessel, and so we need to make sure that we're looking both on the surface for the vessel if it had surfaced back to the water, but had somehow lost communications with the vessel, and that's what the aircraft and the surface search vessel is allowing us to do right now. But we're also having to search in the water column, and we're doing that right now with the use of sonar buoys and sonar on the ship that's out there to listen for any sounds that we can detect in the water column. Over the course of the next couple days, we anticipate adding additional capability to conduct additional search in the water as those commercial assets arrive on scene. Again, our thoughts are with the families and the crew members on board the submersible, and we're working very closely with all U.S. and international partners to provide any capability that we can provide to search for the overdue vessel and rescue the crew members on board. At this point, we'll take questions.
There were reports that the submarine may be trapped in the wreckage of the Titanic. Is this even possible? And if that were the case, how much oxygen would these people on board have?
So in terms of locating the overdue submersible, we have to make sure that we're looking on both the surface using aerial and surface vessels, but then expanding into underwater search as well. Right now our capability is limited to sonar buoys and listening for sounds, but you know, we're working very hard to increase the capability. We understand from the operator of the vessel that the vessel was designed with a 96-hour sustainment capability if there was an emergency on board. And so we're using that time, making the best use of every moment of that time to locate the vessel.
Sir, can you talk about who was Hamish Harding, a British explorer, and confirm that he's on board some family?
At this point, I'm not in a position to confirm the identity of anybody on board the vessel. Out of respect for the families, we're you know, going through the notification process, and more updates will be forthcoming.
Sorry, maybe jumping to something here, but it seems like if that vessel is sitting on the bottom, you have a 96-hour window to reach it, this is a race to get some sort of rescue vehicle down to it. Am I correct about that?
That's absolutely part of the overall planning for this search case. Right now we're focused on locating the vessel, but at the same time, if we find this vessel in the water, then we will have to effect some sort of rescue or coordinating, reaching out to different partners within the U.S. Navy, within the Canadian Armed Forces, and within private industry to understand what underwater rescue capability might be available.
Are there any vessels on the way there that could do that, that could get down there?
So at this moment, we're focused on the search and understanding the capabilities of the vessels that are deploying to the scene.
And what does your sonar measure as deep as 13,000 feet?
So the sonar capabilities within the sonar buoys and within the hull of the commercial vessel that is out there operating on site, those aren't Coast Guard sonars, they are capable of listening to a depth of 13,000 feet, as I understand it. So in terms of the square mileage of the search, I don't have that number right at this moment, but it includes both a surface area that we're looking at and a subsurface area. And so we'll get you the exact number for the square mileage of the search. In terms of the hours, we understood that that was 96 hours of rescue or emergency capability from the operator. And so we anticipate that there's somewhere between 70 to the full 96 hours available at this point.
Do you believe that the sub could be in a location near the Titanic? And if so, what are some of the challenges with sonar and the debris field that the Titanic had to face?
So it's certainly the purpose of the submarine was to, as I understand, the purpose of the submersible was to provide opportunity to visit the wreck site and explore the wreck site. So that's a possibility. Again, right now our focus is getting on as much capability into the area as we can and understanding that full capability of those assets that are being deployed. Our aerial assets that are being deployed have the capability to do both visual and radar searches, and the Canadians' asset had the ability to drop sonar buoys and listen, and so we're using all that information to improve our search capability. So we're working through that right now, but what we're really focused on at the moment is really locating the vessel, which could either be in the surface or subsurface. And so we're bringing in technical expertise to understand both the dynamics of underwater search and underwater rescue operations.
There'll be a lot of families watching this and will be hoping that their loved ones will
So as search and rescue professionals, we work very, very hard, and our crews take this personally. Our first thoughts are with the crew members and the families of those on board. And so we want to make sure that we have done absolutely everything that we can do to locate their family members and bring them home safe. And so they're first and foremost in our thoughts every moment of this search operation.
So how common are these treks to the Titanic in general, and how dangerous are they even without an emergency taking place?
I don't have any details on how often folks visit the wreck site there at Titanic, nor any specific comments on the dangers involved. Certainly, every time ships go to sea, they encounter hazards and dangers, and so having properly prepared vessels, properly prepared crew members, and making sure that you practice emergency procedures, good practical advice for anybody that goes to sea.
What's happening specifically with the families of those people involved right now? Are you in contact with them? Is there a safety hearing for them? What's happening?
So at this point, I'm not going to discuss any information about the families and communications with the families, and so we'll provide that with future updates.
Any idea the number of personnel searching? Is it dozens, hundreds?
So the Coast Guard has two C-130 aircraft. In addition to the command team that's working here, we have two C-130 aircraft deployed. The Canadians have a C-130 aircraft and a P-8 aircraft. We also have access to and will launch this evening a C-130 aircraft from the New York National Guard to make sure that we have sufficient air assets up there. On the surface, we have the commercial operator that's been on site, and we're bringing additional surface search assets into play, which will also bring in some subsurface search capability. Last question, please. I understand from the operator that there was one pilot or submersible commander operator on board, and that there were 4 mission specialists on board is the term that the operator uses for them. So five total. You have to ask the operator what that means. What we're focused on is finding those 5 people. Thank you very much for your time.